Hey friends, this is a video for those of you that are really into YouTube animators. A story time video! To be very honest, my life is kinda uneventful, so I had to dig through the old filing cabinet in my mind space to find this one, but damn, it's a good one. This memory also allows me to give this video an extremely clickbaity title and thumbnail, so I'm rolling with it. This is about the time in kindergarten where I literally almost gave myself permanent neurological damage. Our story begins on a day like any other. The flowers were blooming, the sun was shining, and our godly overlords decided to make my life really hard. So, nothing out of the ordinary, really. At the time this happened, I was about 6 years old and outside for recess. The courtyard of my school was pretty massive and open. The ground was completely covered with smooth asphalt, and the outer walls of the school building were covered with a beige, thick and rigid stucco that felt like sandpaper, but also worse. Those two elements I just mentioned are very important for later, so keep them in mind. The whole shebang occurred in this area right here. I was walking around doing normal 6-year-old things when I saw some classmates of mine kicking a soccer ball around. I assumed that this would be a nice thing to do, so naturally I went over and asked if I could join. Little did young Squid know, that moment would have deadly consequences down the line. They let me join in, and things were going normal, kicking the ball back and forth until a situation happened where I was facing the wall, and about 20 feet away from it or so, the ball was kicked just in front of me. My initial plan for this was to just kick the ball towards the wall and have it bounce back. Even though I was kinda close and on smooth asphalt, I guess I just assumed that kicking the ball would transfer all of my momentum and I would just stop there. However, what I didn't notice was that a kid, if I remember correctly, I think his name was Frank or something, was facing the ball from the left, and he was already running for it. But at that moment, I didn't see him at all. Perhaps you can see where this is going. I charged with all my might at that ball, but Frank kicked it just before I was about to. I then immediately proceeded to try and brake, but I slipped on the asphalt, and I went down and completely slammed my forehead directly into the rigid stucco wall. I stumbled back and sat down trying to figure out what the hell just happened. My head was pulsating and it hurt really bad. When I scrambled together what was going on and stood back up, guess what? None of the people who I were playing with saw it. They all just forgot about me, I guess, and were going back and forth in a different place. Screw you, buddy! And none of the staff that were supervising us outside saw it either. At the time, I didn't really realize the severity of the injury I had just sustained, and was kind of embarrassed to admit it to someone. I was also really fucking stupid, so I thought that I could probably just put a band-aid on it back at home and it would be fine. For those of you that don't know, the hair of my character is actually pretty similar to my hair in real life. It's a little swish that goes out in front. So, I patted my hair down over the giant fucking red crater on my head to attempt to hide it and just went on with my day. Yeah, I was slightly dizzy and in immense pain, but whatever, I guess. Thank God that some other classmates of mine saw the giant obvious red circle on my head and told a teacher about it. I tried to deny it initially when I was confronted, but I eventually gave in about what had happened after a little bit of questioning. I was immediately escorted to the principal's office and given an ice pack while the receptionist there called my mom. Buzz, buzz, you're being called. Buzz, buzz, pick up your phone, buzz.
Hello?
Hey, can you come over and pick up your son? He hit a ball with his head and the nurse advised that he be sent home.
Oh, okay. I'll be right over. Sweet cheese and rice! A ball did that to him?
Ma'am, I said he hit a wall with his head. My mom immediately got me an appointment with my doctor and we rushed to the clinic while I used a literal bag of frozen peas to ice my head. As a quick side note, in a rotten cherry on the shit Sunday, my school used to do these award shows to honor students who did great in their class. One happened to happen on the day all of this went down, and I learned after the fact that I was chosen to be given the award for best in my class. Meaning that I just so happened to give myself a severe injury specifically on the one and only day I was selected to get an award and completely missed out on the whole thing. Thankfully though, I was given it when I returned to school and it remains one of my greatest accomplishments to date. Anyway though, back to the clinic. While there, I was able to look in a mirror and see the horrid thing that had formed on my head. I'm not going to show any actual pictures of it here because if I did, YouTube would murder me and my entire family. But just so you know, my mom still has a few pictures of it, and it is very gnarly. It was red, almost bloody looking, and filled with a fluid, some of which was leaking out. In some places where my forehead hit the stucco on the wall, it was bright red and raw. It just looked like I had a huge inflamed scab on my head. Thankfully, the doctor said I was okay besides the external inflammation and injury, and I would recover normally. I honestly don't know how I didn't at least get a concussion. It could have easily been something way worse considering what had caused it and what it looked like from the outside. Of course, I didn't end up going to school for the next few days and had to use various means to hide it. But it healed as usual and things went back to normal after like a week. Honestly, I think that incident could be an explanation for a lot of things about me today, but it was like 11 years ago, so whatever, I guess. And that, my friends, is where our story shall conclude. Let me know if you enjoyed this. I honestly kind of prefer making stuff that's more informative, but this was fun to make for the most part. Genuinely, thank you so much for all the recent support I've received. You guys are all radical. Until next time, brush your teeth, stay hydrated, eat your veggies, comb your hair, and be a kind person. Okay, goodbye.